Which fictional character would still be alive if other characters had used a bit of common sense? Jaws. The mayor who thought it would be a good idea to keep the beaches open despite grave warnings from a shark scientist and a police chief. Edit. It has one of my favorite lines from the mayor at this point. Hooper goes on explaining the power and the size of the shark we are dealing with, stating how the graffiti on the town billboard is proportionally accurate. The mayor responds, "Love to prove that. Wouldn't ya? Get your name into the National Geographic. Apostrophe. Good thing such a scenario would never happen in real life." Exactly. If ever there was a threat in real life killing hundreds of thousands of people, we wouldn't just ignore it, because taking precautionary measures makes people uncomfortable. Thank God we don't live in the Jaws universe. A ton of characters in Harry Potter. If the Ministry of Magic believed that Voldemort had returned, the face of the minister when he saw Voldemort leaving at the end of Order of Phoenix was a mix of "he's really back" and "I fucked up big time." Apostrophe. Marvin from Pulp Fiction. Poor guy. Who swings a gun around like that without a safety on? Vincent. Because he was a sloppy idiot. Vincent also died because he was a sloppy idiot. Edit. Yes. I was and am aware he was on heroin. Still a dummy. I saw Skyfall the other day. Don't keep the cyber-terrorist in a cell completely controlled by computers for some reason, and then plug his computer into that system and allow it to run executables, and don't have a very convenient escape route very close to his cell. Had the negligent camp counselors at Camp Crystal Lake never let Jason Voorhees drown, his mother wouldn't have went on a murderous rampage, and Jason wouldn't have had to come back to life and avenge his mother's death. Essentially dozens of innocent people would never have been murdered, and Jason could have grown up to be a decent citizen. You had one job, camp counselors. The entire crew of the Prometheus had two ducking idiots stranded underground during a storm, decided it wasn't a good idea to duck with a completely unknown alien species. Also, the Nostromo crew really should have done a second scan before letting the guy who just got face raped walk around the ship. To be fair to the Nostromo crew, Ash had explicit company orders to bring back the alien and the crew was expendable. The android was the medical specialist on that crew and the crew had no reason to distrust him until later. Doesn't he actually override Ripley's order? Everyone in Evil Dead, if people would stop reading ominous Latin. Hey look, I found this really creepy old book bound in human skin, written in blood, and full of obviously evil demonic shit. I should read aloud from it. Honestly, I might have done it too. How were they supposed to know they were in a horror movie? But King Kong. In retrospect, maybe New York City wasn't the smartest place to bring a gigantic gorilla. He would have fitted in perfectly in Florida. Would they even have noticed him in Australia? I mean, they already have giant everything else. Wicked Witch of the West. Remember how Superman lives in a house where kryptonite is kept lying around, in plain reach of visitors? I can't remember, but it seemed like the witch was just as surprised as everyone else. It also implies that, even though she surrounded herself with stank-ass flying monkeys, she has never showered in her life. She probably smelled absolutely awful. In the book by Gregory McGuire it's explained that she has a lifelong aversion to water and cleans herself with scented oils and scrubs and whatnot instead. The first off the top of my head is Hedwig of the Harry Potter books. Why have 7 Harry Potters in the chase screen when Hedwig died? Give the polyjuice to Harry, make him look like anyone else. Perhaps a muggle that happened by. Use a muggle car instead of brooms. Really grab any muggle technology like a walkie-talkie. Hermione and Harry grew up in the muggle world. Sure, there's some excuses for not using muggle tech in Hogwarts or other strong magical locations, but they could use it elsewhere. At the very least have the luggage sent another way. Another idea, summon the Hogwarts house elves to get the luggage and cast distraction spells. I don't know if a house elf could have teleported Harry. Edited for clarity and correction. Yeah. Common sense is really rare in the magic world. Hiding in plain sight. There are maybe a fair tens of thousands magicians living. So why bother to hide in the overwhelmingly percentage of muggles? Mike from Breaking Bad. Oops, just realized I cold got the names from Lydia. Sorry for killing you, dude. Shut the duck up and let me die in peace. Apostrophe. All of Jason Voorhees' victims from part 6 and onward would still be alive if Tommy Jarvis didn't angrily stab Jason's corpse with the gate spike that conducted lightning and resurrected him. Should just tempered yourself and only burned him, Tommy. Watch that movie lately. Such a dumb thing to do, but great way of resurrecting a legendary character. I have no idea what you're talking about. I'll stab all the corpses I want. Damn it. They are not supposed to be resurrected by lightning. That franchise wasn't about science fiction before. My entire D&D party. Sorry guys. Every D&D party, if we are being honest. Last one I was in, the monk tried to slam dunk a flamescal into a 200-foot deep pit of undead. We just kind of paused the session there and haven't gone back yet. It's like we crashed the DM. Hank would still be alive if Walter White didn't keep books in a bathroom or continue making drugs after getting off for $5 million. That's not how you build an empire business. Beck in Netflix is you. Hell, if she alone had more common sense, she'd still be alive. No, make sure he's fucking dead and get some bloody curtains for your road facing first floor apartment while you're at it. All of the deaths in Jurassic World stem from one scene when no one was using common sense. We can't get a visual on the creature. It must have escaped its enclosure. It'll go in to investigate. Wait. Before you enter a death trap with a genetically modified killing machine / abomination, why don't we turn on the tracking device to see where it is? Oh yeah. It would have been pretty stupid to have rushed in when you were literally about to activate its chip. Huh. It's still there. Oh. Now I see it. Looks like it can camouflage. Good thing we didn't release it to go on a killing spree in the park. Now go spend some time with your nephews, like you promised, you insensitive bitch. Should we go check via the maintenance entrance, or just open that big ass door? Apostrophe. I believe they went in through a small man-sized door, and then when trying to escape the worker opened the bigger door. I remember in one of the Superman movies there is a tornado / storm, and while Clark and his mom get to safety, the dad is left behind like 200 feet away in the car, but shakes his head when Clark is about to save him, because it would expose his identity. There was total chaos right then with a huge tornado happening, and he could have picked him up in a second and no one would be able to tell. Instead he just died for no reason. Absolutely. That was so freaking stupid. There were probably half a dozen ways he could have used his powers to save his father. Worst case he gets spotted and the family has to into witness protection or something. Romeo and Juliet. Yeah, when have teenagers with a boner ever done anything with common sense though? Not them, everyone around them. If they'd just let them make out a bit and then actually had to have a conversation with each other instead of making eyes and thinking about naked activities, it would have sorted itself out. All of our DR2S cast would live to the first game if Dutch WOUKD understand that a guy you've had for 6 months is less trustworthy than the man you've raised for 20 years. Edit. Just to clear it up. But cannot being trusted would prevent the Blackwater incident, so the gang wouldn't need to flee. If they didn't flee, Strauss never lends money. Therefore, Arthur won't contract EB from the debtor. He's got a plan. You just gotta have faith. Tahiti. Edit. Damn everyone. Thanks for the comment, love, and the cake day, love. Wasn't expecting this at all, but it certainly put a smile on my face. Man, I had more than enough money to get them all to Tahiti twice over, or hell just hold up a steamer instead of a bank. Sirius Black from Harry Potter. If Harry had actually listened to Hermione's warning that he was going into a trap, the whole battle at the Ministry wouldn't have ever happened. Nobody listened to Hermione until it's too late. To be fair, there's also multiple times throughout the books where Hermione blatantly denies everything Harry is telling her and all but calls him dramatic, and he winds up being right. I love Hermione as a character, but that's a huge flaw of hers. So realistically, they should all be listening to each other. Sirius Black. Come on. Dumbledore. Really? The gloom of Grimmauld Place parted, and a gleaming silver doe walked towards Sirius. Her beautiful head tilted, and her long starlight lashes fluttered. She opened her mouth, and the deep voice of Snape said, "Hey, Ducker, are you still at your house?" Apostrophe. This scene should have been in the books XD. Maud Flanders if she had just waited in the aisle for the t-shirt shooting ladies to finish their halftime show. Or at least been more aware of what everyone in her section was looking at. Of course, if Homer hadn't ducked, I'm sure he could have taken the direct hit from the shirt barrage and been fine thanks to his lower center of gravity. The question is who the duck installed bleachers without any back wall or even a railing. There should not have been empty space there for her to fall down. Apollo Creed. How the living duck did Rocky not throw in the towel? And afterwards, he made it so the doctors couldn't get to him because he was holding him for so damn long. Kind of Apollo's fault. I'm sure he would have been salty at Rocky forever if he had thrown the towel early, and probably even more salty if he had lived to see Rocky beat Drago. Well, yeah, but his life is more important than winning. Quicksilver. He has been shown to be faster than bullets, then get shot. WTF. Such a waste of a fantastic character. IKR. Have you seen the OSP video on character deaths? I highly recommend. A major part of the Dothraki army, sending them all straight ahead in pitch black was, a questionable decision. In the snow, no less. Because we all know how accustomed to fighting in the snow they are. And with weapons, that wouldn't work against the whites. That was the original plan. They didn't know that Melisandre would come and light their Arax on fire. Quentin Coldwater from The Magicians. Don't just stand there. Toss the bloody thing in and get out. Whoop. Now I want to watch the show again. The GD. If Anakin had some sense, or if Yoda did, or if he'd acted on any bit of the mountain of evidence they got, something was up in the Clone Wars. They didn't start investigating the origins of the clones until 3 years into the war. Pretty much everyone in Lothar. If Elrond just shoved Isildur into the lava, they were the only two there, so Noon would have known. Hey Elrond, we saw you and Isildur going towards the mountain. Now here you are. But where's Isildur? It was so tragic, you guys. He slipped and fell into lava. There was nothing I could do to save him. Apostrophe. 299 people would still be alive in the John Wick universe if Iosef Tarasov didn't kill his puppy. The guy is a ducking legend. Of course he is going to hunt you down for killing his puppy. Never piss off the boogeyman. My favorite scene from that movie. Calling Leguizamo. Asking, I hear you hit my son. Why? Because he stole John Wick's car and killed his dog. Oh. Kills me every time. One of the best ways to establish gravitas. Name me a Disney villain who died who wasn't cursed by their own hubris. Gaston could have gone back to his village if he had just headed the beast's orders to get the duck out of the castle. But no, he had to be a petty asshole with a boner that only rose for Belle. I mean, shit, he could have had a ducking harem if he could have just accepted that Belle didn't want him and gone on with his life. Close bracket. Jaffa couldn't just toss Alad in a bag of gold coins and tell him to start a new life somewhere else. He had to be a backstabbing asshole. Scar could have gotten the duck out of Pride Rock knowing Simba just kicked his ass. But no, he had to be petty and run his stupid mouth. Ursula? She could have gone and chilled in Tritten's castle and enjoyed life. But no, she had to try to duck up Ariel's life and turn into a giant. Knowing full well Eric was wielding a goddamn ship with a pointy tip. Drive. Dr. Facilier could have kept a lid on his magic. But he let it control him instead. Turbo had to spend all his time picking on Vanellope instead of just enjoying being King Candy. No one knew Vanellope was a princess. Why should he be threatened by her? Bing Bong from Inside Out. The characters literally pass a tube that could send any memory up to HQ. If that just used that tube and then used the train of thought on the way back, everything would have gone perfectly. Or heck, if Joy could have just been patient and waited for Ellie to wake up instead of jumping off the train to cause nightmares. Quicksilver in Age of Ultron. Why did he not pick Hawkeye up and ran away with him instead of jumping in front of him? Exclamation mark. Quicksilver's death in a hole is stupid. First, he cold done what you said. Second, the bullet cold very well gone through him and hit Hawkeye anyway. Shmee Skywalker. After episode 1, the Queen of Naboo, who had the credits, could have bought her freedom and hired her to work for her either on an estate and or give her job training and education to work elsewhere. Sidus, Jar Jar, the GD Council, Yoda, Obi-Wan could have done the same to gain influence or provide peace of mind to someone they have a vested interest in. Shmee had to remain a slave on Tatooine to justify a familial relation, to justify Luke being there, in some parallel dimension. Star Wars was released in chronological order and made more sensible because of it. My headcanon is that, even if they did buy Shmee and put her in a residency in downtown Coruscant, is there a downtown when it's all just town? Closed bracket comma. Palpatine world had her killed somehow in order to emotionally manipulate Anakin into becoming more unstable / willing to join the dark side. I agree. Palpatine was set on making Anakin his servant the moment he learned about his potential. No matter what they did with Shmee, she was going to die prematurely to push Anakin to the edge. Clark Kent's dad in Man of Steel had to be one of the dumbest revisions of a comic character origin of all time. The whole point of his dad dying of a heart attack before was to show Superman can't do everything and save everyone. He isn't above nature or God. So in the new version his dad is dying in a tornado and the dad asks him not to save him, so his powers won't be revealed. A. Who the duck would let their dad die for this reason, and B. Why would anyone assume Clark had powers if he saved his dad? He could just run into the tornado, grab the dad, and run him somewhere out of sight. They could just claim they were thrown far away and lived due to luck, or that they prayed real hard and Jesus saved them. Nobody sane would think, nor I think, that boy's got superpowers. Apostrophe. Light from Death Note. If Mikami hadn't used the Death Note to write Miss Aura's name Light World 1, Mikami was stupid to not listen to someone he considered God. Tony Stark. Black Widow and half of the universe would still be alive if Doctor Strange just used his portal to cut off Thanos' hand like Wanda did to Thanos' minion at the start. There's no reason Thanos won that. Time is, arguably, the most powerful of the Infinity Stones. You start losing, go back and try again until you win. Dormammu, I've come to bargain. Glenn from The Walking Dead. Stopped watching that show years ago. It was just them moving from settlement to settlement and ruining each place. I stopped watching the show after Glenn died. It just felt the right thing to do. Everyone on the ship in Alien, if they would have listened to Ripley when she refused to allow the alien onto the ship. Yeah. But it was Ash, the synthetic human, who let the infected guy back on the ship. And it wasn't a lack of common sense that drove him. It was science / corporate / military greed. Exclamation mark. In some alternate universe the infected astronaut didn't get back on the ship. But then, who knows? Probably another ship comes along and lets an infected guy on and the movie still exists, but with different people. Maybe Jodie Foster is the leading lady. Maybe it's Ian McKellen as the android. Maybe instead of a cat they have a guinea pig or something. IDK. Ned Stark. Robb Stark. Winter is coming. Ned was too noble of man. Robb was too brash and shouldn't have trusted the freeze. No, he shouldn't have broken his vow. If he hadn't ducked over the freeze he would be alive. Every dead character in a horror movie ever. Hey guys, I have a great idea. Let's split up instead of staying together where we are safe. The horny kid dies. The slut girl dies. The one who believe in ghosts dies. The character who saved the one who was to be killed first dies. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.